Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another ChinWag with the lovely Julia.
And the lovely Richard.
Welcome, and it's nice of you to join us again. A little bit late today. We've been out meeting some viewers.
Yes.
So big hello to Sue and Tony if you happen to be watching, and thank you for breakfast. It was very nice.
Absolutely wonderful chatting with you.
Yeah, no, really nice, and nice to meet your dog Amber. And that's very much the subject of the video today, or our thoughts today, is it's meeting real people. I don't know, I mean, obviously if you're a YouTube creator, you have people who watch what you do, and occasionally it's nice to meet up with some of the viewers, and we often include them in the videos that we do. But being a viewer, this might seem a bit different to you, but you might also have a life in which you meet people who you've befriended on social media for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's really nice, isn't it? You meet people who you've perhaps been in communication with. Perhaps you've got friends on Facebook that have, for whatever reason, become a friend, but you've never actually met.
Friends through friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a mutual friend is.
Or you've put posts on and people have become interested in you, and you know how Facebook works. You get friends that you've never met and you go, can I be your friend? Yeah. But then at some point it's really nice to actually meet face to face, and the dynamic is so different very often, isn't it? No.
Yes, I mean it's very much different having a nice verbal communication between people, and it's nice to get comments as well in the written language, of course, but it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? It's a different animal
when you meet people face to face. And very often how you one of the things I've always found with comments is that how much the avatar influences what I think of that person. Because you see that little picture. Sometimes they have, say, a picture of a dog or an aeroplane or a bird or
a poppy
or a young version of themselves, or even a famous person. And you look at that and you connect, or I find myself connecting the text that they're saying, often in a comment about something that I've spoken about or you, Julia, spoken about in our videos. We connect the text with the avatar. Now, I don't know if everybody does that, but often that sometimes really flowers, that's not the word I want, really colours what I think of that person. And then you meet them in real life and you realise actually the avatar had a completely opposite effect. So I've sort of many times looked at someone and answered them and thought, I pigeonholed you in this category because of your very odd avatar and sometimes your comments. Then I meet them and I think, do you know what, this person is so totally different to what they appear on screen. And I don't know whether people know that that's what happens, that when they write their comments, that very often they can appear so different to who they really are.
I mean, it's very rare that someone will write in the same manner that they speak. I know one person for sure does, As It Was. He really does, and especially now, you know, after we'd met him, and now when I read his comments, I hear his voice, which doesn't always happen, even when you know the person.
Yeah. So it's really nice to actually meet people because they're so usually very different to the often maybe a dry comment or a simple comment or an overly flowery comment, whatever it might be. And then you get a rounded person. And of course, that's bloody obvious that would be the case. But sometimes I have found that I've almost thought, I don't think I like you, from the very, I don't know, acerbic comments.
Staccato kind of comments, very broken down, you know, thoughts being just spat out almost, isn't it?
And then you meet them and they're totally different. You go, Ash, I really do like you. You're a really interesting person. And I suppose the lesson is not to jump to conclusion from people's comments.
Or avatars.
Or avatars, exactly.
Don't just rely on the book cover as such.
Yeah, no,
in
absolutely.
a way.
But you have no way of knowing what somebody's like.
No.
But I was thinking, do people think about how they project themselves? For example, I know I have one particular and I'm not going to say who it is, person who comments, and this person always, pretty much, always will take the opposite opinion to whatever I say. Whatever I say, this person will become the devil's advocate.
I was about to say that, devil's advocate.
Now, I think there's a role to do that, to sort of say, well, let's have a look at the other side of the coin, and I think that's absolutely fine. But this person does it as a matter of... Now, I don't think this person knows that's what he or she does. I
certainly don't think there's any malice or
no,
intention.
absolutely.
It's just you know.
It's just
hey, but what about this side of it?
Yeah, but what I was trying to get to is, while I don't think this person realises that's what they're doing every single time, you don't then see a rounded picture of this person. What you end up seeing is this person who appears to despise everything that you stand up for, because they always argue the opposite point. And yet this particular person has in the past financially supported me and watches the videos. And so you have this very strange juxtaposition of going, wait, this person clearly hates me because they continually to argue against everything I say, and yet this person still
Continues
watches.
to watch, yeah.
And so it's very odd, you know. So as a producer of content, you are trying to work out from your viewer, you know, you're trying to sort of appease your viewers and make stuff that they'll enjoy. And then you come across these anomalies, and it's very confusing. And
let's face it, the written word can be very much misinterpreted, can't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, you can write things out in several different ways, and none of them can express the way you actually intend it. It's so different in person when you hear the inflection of the tone, and if there is anything that you go, oh, but what? Hang on a minute, they can. You know, you can much more quickly and easily.
People can often take offence, don't they, from something that's not meant to be offensive. It's meant to be a dry comment or a joke, and then it can come across. Actually, if you read it cold and you think, oh yeah, no, I can see that they've thought I was having a go at them, but I wasn't having a go at them. I was just trying to be funny, but it didn't come over that way.
Yeah, and all those little hitches can be much more quickly gotten around and not glossed over, but worked out when you're face to face.
And also you've got body language,
That's
which
it.
And tone of voice and things like that. So the question is, do you struggle with comments or emails or communication that comes to you whenever you're doing stuff on social media? Do you have the same problems? And then suddenly when you meet perhaps somebody for the first time, or you challenge them and say, were you just taking the mickey out of me? And oh no, it wasn't like that. Be interested in your thoughts on all of that. So let's go back to the comments, now that we've been talking about comments, for the last few videos and see what you've been talking about. And in yesterday's programme, which again was a bit late because we'd been away camping, we were talking about, if you do go camping, what sort of camping do you like to do? Are you somebody who goes glamping, or you really rough it in just the basics, sleep under a hedge?
Camping thing,
yeah. So we've got some comments here, and Julia's going to help me read some of them out.
Excellent. Illuminated Galaxies 7777. Or is there an extra 7? I have dealt with illness since my early 20s, so every day is a bonus for me, to be honest. And of course, when I do get a cold or something like this, it knocks me for 6. I don't know what it feels like to be okay. My darling boy has issues as well, so I try, read more, and focus on him and keep him well. Illness has blighted my family, whether it be physical or mental, to be honest. These daily chats are the best. I look forward to them daily, Richard. My husband has early onset dementia, so I can't really converse with him. So these chats are worth their weight in gold. Thank you.
Wow. That's I mean, sometimes when you do stuff on this kind of thing, and you just bung, sometimes, you feel like you're just churning stuff out, and you just bung something out. And you often don't really appreciate what the audience get from it, except that then they'll put a comment like that and you realise you're doing something useful, which is really nice. So thank you very much for that.
There is a further comment from Illuminated Galaxies, obviously from a different video. I have to be honest, we dislike camping. For one, we tend to wake up with aches and pains. It can be an unrested sleep. We prefer a log cabin in a decent bed or our camper van. We dislike tents immensely, I'm afraid. We always do a staycation every now and again, especially Hampshire, the New Forest.
Oh, nice to go. We were thinking about going to the New Forest, weren't we, on our last trip?
Yeah.
But we didn't.
No, we didn't. We thought, well, it's early in the summer holidays. It probably would be busy.
Andy English says, the secret to a good camp, put everything in the tent and sleep in the car. Now, it's funny you should say that, because when we were away, we saw this amazing, and I wasn't overly impressed on it, but everybody else seemed to be impressed on it. A car, typical saloon car, turned up at the campsite with...
Well, I thought it was a hatchback.
Well, a saloon... Is that not a saloon car?
No, I thought a saloon car was a slightly longer one.
Oh, like an estate car?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
whatever. Anyway, a
Definitions.
a hatchback, just an ordinary car, not a camper van.
No, it was a littleish car. Anyway.
Yes. I'm basically trying to say a car as opposed to a camper van or anything else. So a car turns up with a roof rack with what looks like just a very fat mattress in a tarpaulin or something. But actually, this thing turned out to be half a tent, and it goes like this.
Fold it out. The ladder then comes down and holds it up this end.
So it's like half of it's on the car on the roof rack, and then the other bit is not. And you think, hang on, why doesn't that fall off? But as you say, the ladder is supporting it. A couple got out of it, and then they pretty much within seconds crawled into this tent that was like a pop-up book. You know the pop-up book? You just open it like a book, vroom, and it popped up. It was remarkable. I wouldn't want it myself because it means everything's got to be in the car packed away in boxes, not as easy as in a van. But if you're doing a lot of travelling, I suppose, and you're just doing quick one-nighters, as indeed they did.
Yes, exactly.
It was quite good. And then when we watched them pack it up again, and it was pretty much the same speed as reverse, like just shutting a book on the top of your car.
Drag everything out of it, put it back in the boot, and then
and they were off.
And
But
I mean, like you say, it would only work for those for on road trips when you just pop it out, sleep, pop it back, go. Because you can't just leave the tent there and drive off to do tourist things.
And there was only restricted space in it. I mean, it was pretty much sitting down or lying down. You couldn't stand up and walk about it. Anyway, Carl Chapman says, hi Richard, I sleep in my van on a camp bed when I'm away working. The whole camping thing is a great idea until it rains. Yes, well, that's it. And nothing's, I think, not so good when you have to put your tent away in the rain, because you know the next time you get it out, all that rain has suddenly started to become a bit mouldy and smelly. Yeah.
We had a lovely family holiday in Wales when I was a child, but we woke up the last morning, because we made it the last morning, because there was a river running underneath our bungalow tent.
Oh, right. Not so nice, is it?
No, it wasn't. We were pitched next to a river, which kind of had overflowed, but it just rained so much that even if we
flooded.
It would have been flooded.
Oh, blimey.
Flowing underneath us. Anyways, Louise Lage, my family and I camped all over North America and Canada in tents/tent campers, and my dad's various VW van conversions in the 70s. Now that I'm older, camping doesn't appeal to me, as I much rather prefer the B&B option. Haven't done an overnight camping trip in decades. B&Bs are much more comfortable at this stage of my life. Anyway, we still enjoy getting out to the wilderness for a barbecue in the summer months, getting a nice fire going, fishing, berry picking, and generally going walkabout in the great outdoors for mostly day trips. I learned a great deal from my dad about how to organise your pack, streamline your gear, cook outdoors, observe for weather changes, be prepared for emergencies, and generally how to be safe on the road and in the wild. So if I ever had to, I have the skills.
Excellent. And there's something, I mean, I just found that going around doing the campsites and in these sort of areas where you've got communities of people who've just arrived, you've set up camp, you sit by your fire pit, we've said this before really, is so primeval in a way, isn't it? It's going back to the roots of humanity and escaping all modern trappings and that sort of thing. And you're just there. I mean, and it's amazing watching people sitting by the fire, albeit cooking, or just looking at the flames in the fire as a form of entertainment rather than a television or a phone, just the flames of a fire, and being either meditative, playing perhaps music. There was a person playing a harmonica, which was a bit irritating if you're not into that kind of thing. Night, or just telling stories around the fire. I mean, it's so basic stuff, and yet we've been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years as humans.
It's just something so therapeutic, isn't there, about being near the fire?
Yeah.
A controlled fire, that is.
Yes, of course.
It'd be opposite of therapeutic if it wasn't a controlled
If it
fire.
was a bushfire and you're having to run for your life.
It's like the sounds, the sights, the warmth. It's just
very lovely. Neil Andrew says, I enjoy camping in a tent. Just a couple of days in Wiltshire and visit the Cofton Pumping House. Cofton Pumping House. Oh, that sounds like a nice place to...
Cofton Pumping Station.
Yes.
Old joke.
Old joke. Mary Fennell, what does she say, Julia?
We are lucky to own a motorhome and I love going away in it. Never been abroad. We love exploring the UK. We do weekends throughout the year and a 3-week trip in early autumn when it's quieter and campsites are cheaper. Clever. Scotland is our favourite destination, but Northumberland is on the cards this year. We'd hate a package holiday. Much prefer our own home on wheels in the UK.
Sounds brilliant. And the UK is so great for that kind of thing because the landscape changes, in a comparatively short distance. And I can see why people want to go to Scotland and Northumberland because it's much more rugged, it's more open, and you feel like you are away from a lot of the sort of urban type places. It's and it's not really, in the great scheme of things, that far away. The only problem with the UK is our road system of getting from one place to another, especially when you're right down as we are on the south coast. You've got to get round the M25 and then the first part of the M1 or the M1M or something, which is always touch and go at the best of times. But once you get past, I don't know, sort of up past York, I think I may be wrong, but my impression is that the traffic is a lot less busy other than at rush hour times. Time for one more, and then we better shove off. I think it's William Millard.
In your previous video, you asked, question of the day, should people be allowed to heat their homes in a more traditional way? Maybe this is what led to the answers if it was clear that only some and not potentially all people could be allowed, brackets, encouraged, to do this. The responses would likely have been different, just saying. Didn't quite understand.
No. PM is... Oh, yes, PM. I was trying to read out... somebody had put in a thing. PM is particulate matter. The number is the size of the particles. Yes.
Like per square.
Yeah, thanks very much. And a lot of people have mentioned that... Michael White does a quip saying it's Prime Minister emissions, which is not actually what it is, but it's a nice little quip. Yes, I was trying to sort of get through one which because I don't read. Sometimes I read them beforehand, but mostly I'm reading them on spec. So it was a rather long and engaged response that I was trying to get to, and then I'm also trying to evaluate when reading things out, will the audience understand what the hell I'm talking about? If I don't understand it, then the audience has no chance to understand it, which is why I didn't know what PMs stood for, and then I had to sort of abandon the reading of that. But of course, it's all out there for people to read themselves. So thank you for William for making that a little bit clearer. And of course, like I said in the thing, not everybody would be returning to coal or indeed logs. And, of course, if we did, and we did it overnight, it would, of course, be a dreadful thing. You'd have to ease into something like that. But there would be, I reckon, just as we have clean coal that you can burn and carbon capture things, the emissions, I think if one did go back to burning more traditional fuels, you could... using modern science, work out ways to capture and clean and keep things less grim as we did. But as it's not going to happen, it was really just an academic question. Just
as an add-on there are also more new things to burn, like compressed dung bricks and things like that.
Yes.
So there is not just coal and wood.
No, exactly, and of course, I mean, there's obvious things like there just wouldn't be enough trees.
Quite.
If everyone suddenly did it, and it was silly. I think my point, really, in the whole of that was, what is nice is to have more control on your life, and burning your own wood in order to do very basic things like cooking your meal and heating your house and washing your clothes. Having that control yourself, rather than relying on big corporates to enable you to live your life how you want to, is more desirable. I like the fact that I can light the fire when I want to light it using the wood that I've got, and I at an extreme I could break a piece of furniture up and burn that if I wanted to keep warm. Whereas if you're reliant on a global corporate big thing, they're not going to sort of go, well, we'll just let you have some for nothing, seeing as you're a bit poor. You're still going to be charged one way or another, and you've still got to adhere to their contracts and the way they do things. I'm just somebody who likes to be as individual and autonomous as I can and not be so dependent. We all have to be dependent on a lot of stuff, like the internet and certain infrastructure, of course. But being as free as you can gives you at least some sense that you have that you are in control of your life. Yeah. And that's really all that was about. But anyway, I think that's it for today. So we want to know about comments and social media and putting stuff out. When you meet people in the real life, are they very different to how you perhaps have had a correspondence on an email or even in written letters? Does anybody still do, what do they used to call them? Not love letters, but pen pals. People do pen pals. That would be another interesting subject. And before we go, a quick thank you to Rami Boo, who sent me a card for my birthday, and to John. This arrived this morning, just as we got back. Best wishes from John. Thank you very much. He says he watches the show, so I just thought I would say thank you in that way.
Ramaboo's card was a cyber one, hence we can't show that one.
Yes, I hadn't got it immediately to hand. We rushed in here to get this up and running. So until next time, thank you so much for watching, and catch you then.
Have a lovely day.
Bye for now.